Life gives no guidance after graduation. You have to find your own path. Okay, if you've ever felt completely, totally adrift after finishing school, or really after any major transition in your life, let me just say you are absolutely not alone. It's a deeply visceral feeling, right? You're suddenly out there in the real world, and guess what? There is no syllabus. Nobody taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, here is exactly what your brain is suited for. Go do this. Best-selling author Robert Greene realized this firsthand. He found out the very hard way that the modern world offers literally zero roadmap, leaving a lot of us to face this massive period of endless confusion. So welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredibly fascinating blueprint Robert Greene lays out for mastering yourself and your circumstances. We are talking about the alchemy of mastery. Honestly, it's about how to take that raw, sometimes super chaotic energy of feeling lost or even feeling aggressive and frustrated, and transforming the whole shebang into undeniable success. The way Greene breaks this down completely changes how we view our own failures. Let's get right into it. Now, for those of us who kind of think successful people just wake up with perfect discipline, Greene's own wilderness years are incredibly reassuring. Get this, he spent about 18 years acquiring high levels of writing skill, but he was completely lost on how to actually apply it. He tried journalism for a year just to survive, but he hated that his articles were totally forgotten in a week. He wanted to write things people would read in 1,000 years, so he quit. He then spent 5 years wandering around Europe, London, Paris, Ireland, Greece, Spain, literally living out of a backpack, failing to write a novel, lacking discipline, and getting deeply depressed. After that, 3 years working in Hollywood. On paper, it looked like an aimless, failing trajectory, but as you'll see, he was actually undergoing a profound transformation. To understand exactly how he got out of that wilderness, we're going to navigate 4 key stages. 1. Surviving the wilderness years. 2. Rewiring through skill acquisition. 3. The power of boldness. And 4. Channeling energy into mastery. All right, jumping into section 1, surviving the wilderness years, finding the foundation in the chaos. When you're in the thick of it, trying different jobs, failing at projects, it feels like this endless loop of confusion. But that is actually largely an illusion. Greene was unknowingly accumulating skills, brick by brick. Journalism, that taught him how to write under a strict deadline and craft punchy, dramatic opening sentences. Those failed attempts at novels, they taught him the hard mechanics of storytelling. And Hollywood drills into him the absolute vital importance of deep research and theatrical drama. He didn't know it at the time, but he was building the exact foundational bricks he'd eventually need to write his masterpiece, The 48 Laws of Power. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. Moving on to section 2, rewiring through skill acquisition, the neuroscience of success. Now, building these skills isn't just some nice conceptual metaphor. It is a heavily biological process. And this brings us to neuroplasticity. Greene references a truly fascinating study by a UCLA neuroscientist named Dr. Schwartz, who is working with patients suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder. Instead of just relying on drugs or talking therapy, Dr. Schwartz developed very specific behavioral strategies for his patients. And what he found through brain scans was absolutely staggering. By practicing these deliberate strategies and skills, the patients literally changed the physical structure of their brains. This brilliantly illustrates a magical reality of human nature, something entirely non-material, like your thoughts, your deliberate focus, your serious practice of a skill literally changes material reality. It physically rewires the matter of your brain. New neural connections are formed that simply did not exist before. So Greene argues that when you seriously develop skills, even if you feel totally lost in life, you are enriching the soil of your mind. You are laying down the biological groundwork so that when a massive opportunity finally arrives, your brain is physically wired to seize it and succeed. Let's look at section 3, the power of boldness. Action creates reality. Because having the skills is really only half the equation. If there is one law of human nature the powerless or lost need to understand, it's how to interact with the world using the right energy. If you enter a project feeling timid and insecure, it's probably going to fail simply because you brought the wrong energy to it. Nobody admires the guy who spends 2 whole years just talking about starting a podcast, but people absolutely love the bold. Greene shares a hilarious and perfect example of a guy in the early 2000s who launched a magazine. When asked where he got the idea, the guy said his mother told him starting a magazine was a really bad idea, so he literally named it Bad Ideas Magazine and launched it immediately. And no way, it was a massive success. It was loud, it was a great marketing gimmick, and it worked because it was bold. Even if a bold move is totally stupid, or even if it fails, it commands attention. Taking a bold, unique action forces the world to pay attention and creates this incredible, self-fulfilling dynamic of confidence. But you might be asking, what if I just don't feel confident? That is exactly where embodied cognition comes into play. Green notes that if you physically act bold, even if you don't fully believe it in your head yet, that physical bodily action will eventually generate the psychological reality of confidence. And if you need a catalyst, do what professional actors do. Recall a past victory. Go back to a moment in high school when you scored a game-winning goal or absolutely crushed a presentation. Summon that exact emotional memory to fuel your feeling of power in the present. You can't lie to yourself, but you can absolutely leverage your own past successes to physically embody boldness today. Finally, Section 4, channeling energy into mastery, reframing masculinity and aggression. This is particularly relevant today, when so many young men feel completely lost regarding their natural drive and aggression. We have a major cultural tension right now, and let's break it down impartially. On one side, toxic masculinity is very real. It shows up as demeaning others, lacking emotional control, and acting aggressively out of deep, deep insecurity. But on the other side, the natural biological energy, assertiveness, and ambition that many young men feel isn't inherently bad. Actually, it's how big things get done in the world. Virtuous masculinity is about having that roaring engine of ambition, but applying intense self-control. It's about channeling that energy into disciplined ambition, rather than just lashing out. Green frames true strength in a really specific way here. He points out that treating women well and respecting others is a profound masculine virtue. It proves you are secure. You don't need to put others down, demean women, or act like a bully to prove your worth. True mastery and strength are found in decency and emotional self-control. So this requires finding healthy ways to channel competitive aggression, like intense sports, building a disruptive business, or creating art. But this is also where we unlock a truly vital element of dark psychology, the immense power of silence. Green admits he holds a lot of dark, competitive aggression toward the cruelties of the world. But rather than lashing out impulsively, you know what he did? He weaponized his self-control. He embraced the dark psychology of silence, knowing exactly how to hold his tongue, step back, and simply observe. He channeled all his dark observations about human manipulation directly into his writing. He achieved mastery not by suppressing his dark energy, but by rigorously disciplining it into a profound piece of art. Ultimately, we are looking at a literal process of alchemy here. Step 1, you acquire skills to physically rewire your brain's matter. Step 2, you act boldly to force a dynamic of confidence into existence. And Step 3, you channel your raw, natural aggression. You use the dark psychology of strategic silence and extreme self-control to discipline that energy into a masterwork or disruptive business. You take the chaotic, dark elements of your nature and you forge them into ultimate self-mastery. Which leaves us with one final thought. Look at your own life, your frustrations, your unused ambitions. Stop suppressing your natural edge and start taking absolute control of it. What raw, undisciplined energy are you going to channel into mastery today?